Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special segment of our Activate Her Professional Development Series. I'm your host for today, Amy Vanderoff, and we are here in historic St. George, Utah at the Electric Theater, and this is where we find an American icon. It's Marie Osmond. Marie, hello.
You're so cute, Amy. It's so good to see you again. We've done a couple things through the years.
We have.
Together, yeah.
But this is a privilege because this is longer format. This is why it's so cool for 7-Eleven. We do these Activate Her segments.
Because I think it's great they do that.
Yeah.
I think it's incredible. It shows you how much they love the people that work for them. And I think that says a lot about them as a company.
Yes, agreed. And so now we have this chat with you. There's so much to get to, but I want to start with your career. That has spanned several decades. In fact, just before we started recording, you shared in 60 years you've never taken time off.
Nah. I've been working 6 decades now, and literally I've never not worked 1 year of those 60 years. So yeah, all of a sudden it becomes 6 decades and you go, my goodness.
Enduring.
Long time.
How do you, so talk about that, enduring 6 decades when the entertainment industry has changed so much from when you were a little girl. What has been the secret, do you think, of your evolution as an entertainer?
Well, that's a very complex question. There are a lot of things that I probably should not have succeeded because I was conservative and I was a female, and it was a very male-dominated industry. But I think that I saw things differently than women did at that time because I was raised with 8 brothers and a father. I don't have a sister. Well, my brother Donnie's kind of a girl, but no, I'm kidding. I'm so bad. That sibling thing. But sincerely, I was raised by a father who believed I could accomplish everything my brothers did, and maybe even more, because he always said I had maybe more determination than all of them combined. And I believe that those, I never would perceive myself as a victim. Did I have terrible things happen to me? Of course I did. It was the 70s and 80s and even the 90s. But I believe that if you're consistent, if you know who you are, very important, know who you are before you set foot out into something so that you don't ever have to compromise who you are to be what they want. And that continues to build your self-worth, even when you have to turn things down, because you won't. I think that was a big key, and I never looked at myself as a victim. I looked at them as learning experiences, and I believed in being kind and nice. I never wanted to be a man. I wanted to be a successful woman.
So how do you stay true to yourself, your values, and the things that you just demonstrated that you inherited from your family? Your dad sounds like he was really supportive and great with you. How do you keep that when you are in an entertainment industry and you have all these outside forces and you have those, slings and arrows you dealt with as a young female entertainer?
I had 2 amazing parents. That's probably the greatest gift I was ever given. I know people who are phenomenal that maybe had more of a dysfunctional family life. So I don't think that determines it. But what I did is I learned a lot of great values. My father said, you have 2 things to defend in your life, your good name and your beliefs. And I always believed that people, when I endorse something or say something, I want them to know that I don't endorse a million things. I do things I believe in. And that came from my father. My mother taught me to be consistent, to be prepared. She goes, if you're going to do something as a woman, you need to be prepared and be kind. I love men. I'm not a man hater. I've had some terrible men in my life, but in general, I believe that we're good together. I think that we bring perspectives into things that the other doesn't have. And so I think with that respect, they respected me. And I was never afraid to fail. I think that's another thing I learned. And I've worked with what I would call the great entertainers. And also I've hung around the great CEOs and leaders, and I've known so many people that's the one thing I learned from them. Be prepared, be kind, be professional, because if you don't work hard, I know that I don't have as much talent as other people in certain, through growing up I knew that. But one thing I had that they didn't is I wouldn't quit. And I believe that hard work wins out every single time, because I know people with a lot of talent that just thought they had it and they didn't keep trying, and they're not working. And I'm still here, which blows my mind. But it's not, there's no easy in anything that you achieve. So you should always be able to take the criticism. You can tell when somebody's just doing it to attack you. When people are constructively doing it because they like you and they want you to be better for them. I mean, after all, we all work for someone, right?
Right.
And it's good to hold yourself accountable and not be offended easily.
You have a really good friend, Darla, with you here today.
I do. I love her to pieces.
And that's
Hello,
what it reminds
Darla.
me of. Shout out, Darla. We'll have to show her at some point here. But you surround yourself with good people, and that's another good nugget just from the few minutes I've been sitting here with you, when you have good people around you that hold you accountable and that you really respect.
I think because I know she'll never tell me anything to make me, oh, you're great. No, she'll tell me what's incorrect and what needs to be, I see this, do you see that? And I say that from experience because I have not always surrounded myself with great people. And I've had to learn to be discerning. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's from abuse as a child, maybe it's from being a child celebrity. I don't know. We all have our issues from, my mother always said, we spend the last half of our lives fixing what the first half did to us. And I believe that. And our job is to learn how to be an adult and to have wisdom. Wisdom is the proper application of knowledge. And so I know so many great people that I trust, and I believe they trust me because I will always deliver for them the best I can.
Discernment's a gift.
And it's learned, yeah.
Right, over time. I like that quote from your mom, too.
Yeah.
We do. We fix the second half.
Right.
So it's better than the first. You mentioned something about being a risk taker. You're not afraid to fail. So talk about that, because you have done so many different things in this business, this industry. You're such a multifaceted talent. And you've done so many things. And so you've obviously had some risks and you've had some failures. What stands out to you that, man, this was a big risk and I did it?
Well, how many do you want to hear?
Give us your top three.
Big risk for me. So I was 12 when I recorded Paper Roses. That was my first #1 record. It was very scary for me because I could have easily gone into pop, and my brothers had connections, but I loved Loretta Lynn. I loved these women that could be moms and successful and sing what they loved. And I told my dad, I said, I want to sing country. And that was a big risk. So that was, to follow in your family's footsteps of success can be scary. So you have to create who you are, not worry about competing with them, follow your passion, right? Another one that was when I was having success after Donnie and Marie, the TV variety show. Started doing that when I was about 14 and a half, 15. And then I was a single mom, and I went back to Nashville and started having these hits again, which was so wonderful that people were still interested in me. And then I realized that I needed to push myself, and so I did Broadway. And I had about 3.5 weeks to learn to sing legit soprano and have a British accent and try something that I had never done before. I remember opening night sitting there in my corset thinking, I can't breathe and I'm going to throw up. And it was terrifyingly fun. But you can never let your fear conquer you. It's better to fail than quit.
You know a thing or two right now about facing your fears. You were saying this is the year of Marie. You're putting some things on a bucket list, and you've already accomplished a few of them. Can we talk about that?
Well, I'm getting ready to turn, and I have no problems with age. I'm getting ready to turn 64. And I decided at 63, I have worked so much, but I really haven't played a lot. Because when I would finish work, I would go home and be with my children, who I love more than life, and I have 8 children. So now that my children are adults, it's time for me to be a child. And so, day before yesterday, I jumped out of an airplane. And I have wanted to do it my entire life, but never wanted to do it with young children. And because I was their only income support, you know. So it was exhilarating. I have a terrible fear of heights, and I conquered it. And you know, I bought 2 motorcycles, and I love it. I'm getting ready to go in a hot air balloon. I'm going to blow some glass. I'm a sculptor. And I just love that liquid fire, and to be able to, almost like water, make it become something. I just have all these passions, and I'm going to try them.
But life is for the living, right? And
It
that's
is for
exactly
living.
what you're doing. You want to live every piece of it. And I think that's a huge takeaway for those who are watching.
I believe that we can do everything we want to in life, maybe not all at the same time. I believe there's seasons and times. And this is my season to check off those things that are passions and even fears.
You are ahead of your time though, Marie. So we are in a season of life where we encourage people to be their authentic selves, and we are celebrating that, but it wasn't always that way. But I believe your success is because you were always bringing your authentic self. And you were always really just treating your fans like family. You were always very present and very likable, and also very relatable in a time where, like you said, you didn't have to be.
Well, I just believe that people have this illusion that celebrity life is so amazing. No, I mean, you can live that life if you want, but it doesn't last very long, from what I have watched my entire career. But the ones that do last, the greats that I talk about, I mean, Frank Sinatra, you know, Sammy Davis Jr. taught me to walk on a stage, how to love people. You know, from Elvis to Betty White. I mean, name a name. I swear I worked with them. And I always watched, and what I watched for is what other people said about them. I watched the things they didn't like about people, and I watched the things they loved about people. Lucille Ball taught me so much and kind of put me under her. She also taught me how to cheat at Scrabble. It was really great. and I have dyslexia. Please don't think that I've always been a confident person. That's something you earn over time. I had dyslexia. Nobody knew what that was back then. I mean, I literally was in a room with a bunch of television executives trying to cold read our script for that day at age 15. And so one of them stood up and said, "Just read the words. What are you, stupid?" I could have easily let that, and I have to tell you, it took my breath away, and I went into the lady's stall afterwards and just sobbed my guts out. And I really thought I was stupid, and I refused to let anyone do that. And so I came up with this system of figuring out what the words said that I still use today, before we ever knew what dyslexia was. I'm a fighter. I think that's the quality. I'm like, I'm not going to fail. And if I do fail, I don't feel it's a failure because I know I gave it everything I had.
Let's talk about your leadership style. I think this will relate and resonate with so many people who are watching this when they're navigating their own careers, when they're building their own team around them. What would you say is your strength when it comes to leadership?
My strength? Well, I believe you can continually learn. If you feel that you know it all, you put a ceiling on what you can continue to learn. My example, like I said, were so many people, but I think it really goes back to my parents. As a woman, my mother was like the most amazing person I've ever known. And she was amazing because my dad was amazing. They were a team. There was no, yeah, this is your job and this is your, I mean, I remember, you know, my dad coming home with my brothers. He would jump into the kitchen and pick up where my mother left off. She'd go in and type up all the stuff that needed to be learned. I mean, there was no, this is your job, this is my job. They were a team. They respected each other. And that was what I always wanted.
I like how you always kind of go back to your mom and dad in a partnership and finding allies in leadership and when you surround yourself with people. I believe alone we go faster, but together we go further. So when you have a good
you
team.
expand. And that's what, today I see this kind of anger between the sexes, and I'm going, it's such a shame because you could both learn so much from each other. And I know that I have.
Marie, one of your most proudest accomplishments, and I know you have a lot from being a mom and a grandma and an amazing career, Children's Miracle Network Hospitals. This is something that you helped found. This is something that you've raised nearly $9 billion assisting families. And I want to know how this conversation went 40 years ago.
How did it start?
How did it start? Where did you see at such a young age, there's a need here and there's something I can do about it? How did that go?
Well, the story that I usually tell, because there's a lot of reasons, is that I was at an award show and they offered us to do a charity, and I said I would love to, and they said, well, you can't because you just did this one. And I was like, don't tell me what to do with my celebrity. I want to help more than that cause. There's so many great ones. So to boil it down to, is children's hospitals treat everything. It's where you go when you need them, not a specific, and everything from accident victims, burn victims, muscle diseases, blood diseases, premature babies, tonsillectomy, whatever it is, that's where you go. And I realized they were last on government funding, but if I can go back before that, like I said, I'm an observer. I watch. And two things that happened to me. First of all, I had a niece who was born without a skull. And you talk about conquering your fears. I could never be around children that were suffering. I couldn't do it. And I remember my mom called me on the phone and said, my brother is one of my deaf brothers. It was his little girl. And he said, Tom needs you right now. And he was on the phone and he couldn't hear me. He goes, I need you in the background. I said, Mom, I can't do that. I can't see her. Her name was Jennifer. And in that moment, remember those phones with the long cords? So from walking that phone from that cord being extended to the time I hung up, I had the most amazing experience where I felt her. And it was like, you promised you'd be there when I come. And I was with a friend of mine, I said, I have to go to the hospital. I made a promise. And when I went there, and I saw little Jennifer, who was blue, and they said that she had no, control of anything. It was just, she was just going to live like maybe 2 more hours. I held her and I touched her little hand and she squoze me. And the doctor said, oh, that's just a reflex. And I went, no, it's not. I promised. And it just did something in me where it was like, I need to help these kids. Whatever they decide to come down and whatever, it is our job to love them and to help them. And a society that doesn't believe in helping children, something's really wrong. The other thing that was life-changing for me, and this will be crazy, but we were invited over in the Philippines to go to the Marcos' palace. So Imelda Marcos, the shoes, the whole bit. And some of them may not know this because they're too young, but research her. And I walked into this palace and I can't even tell you what I saw. I mean, it was ridiculous. They're bigger than life portraits on velvet with like 15 millimeter pearls of each of them. The cost, the extravagance, the chandeliers. She walked by, she was saying, let's take you down to the dining room, which was this extended, like 60 chair, everyone had like a throne of silver. It was like, I can't even describe to you. And she goes, would you like to see my library? And I was like, of course. And she goes, well, not mine, it was Napoleon's. And so I'm just like, this lady is insane, I want to be her. And she took us up to dinner and she had recreated the whole set of Saturday Night Fever, which was the big movie at the time. And I just thought, whoa. And I looked at her china, I said, it's beautiful. Oh, we don't wash dishes, we'll throw that away tonight. We'll create a new set for tomorrow. Anyway, I left there just blown away with this rich lady's life. And right outside the palace, as the gates shut, were children without clothing, living in chicken wire and cardboard, starving to death. And it just flipped something in me that said, I will never not see a need. I can't. And I believe, sorry, it was one of those life-changing things that children in children's hospitals are last on government funding. What is that? That these hospitals serve our communities. And so I said, we will not get paid. We will pay our employees, but we will find that money another way. And all of the money, 100%, will stay in the community to help the people that want to help their kids, not be sent off to some other state. And that is the most incredible stat when you can say 100%. And so people like 7-Eleven that are coming aboard to help your local community, that makes the community love you, and you are loving them back. And to me, that is a win-win-win. And so I know the passion that 7-Eleven has. I cannot tell you how excited. I know we're almost 9 billion, and I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to prophesy, 7-Eleven will make that difference. I know they will, because they're passionate people, and everybody knows 7-Eleven. So this is like one of those marriages that is so exciting to me as one of the founders. They're incredible people. They have good hearts, and they're going to make a huge difference, and it's just thrilling.
I think another thing that you have done with 100% proceeds going to these kids and the money staying local is you've incentivized people to know philanthropy doesn't have to be a game just for the rich and famous.
Right?
You don't have to have deep pockets to make a difference. You can lend your time, you can lend your voice, you can lend little bits of money, you can maybe tell someone else about it, like 7-Eleven is doing with their team members. Hey, this is something you can do wherever you are and in your journey in your life. It encourages everyone to kind of get involved and take note of the need.
See, that's the thing, is you said it right there. It doesn't matter how you serve, it matters that you serve in whatever capacity you're capable of. I believe we need to give back as human beings. Otherwise, we become very me, 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 and that is no way to warm up. And so, you know, you have to give back, I believe, to feel good about yourself. And of all the things I've done, like I have said, it's the one thing I'm most pleased about and hope that I'm remembered for. Especially from my children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, that grandma cared enough, you know. But I do. I love children, and in those few stories I told you about, that changed my life.
We know 40 years later, $9 billion nearly raised, so many children served. How was it in the beginning? How did you gain people's interest and attention to say there's this need? We're starting this and we need your help. How did those early conversations go?
So, looking back, I have always tried to, like I talked about, having character, having values, being authentic and honest. And so when I would go to these television stations, initially it was a telethon, which is, that's an old term now. That's like saying, you know.
Like with the live callers calling in?
Oh yeah. And performing 21 hours straight. And I did it, you know. But back then, when we went in and asked people to participate, they didn't know who we were, but they knew who I was, and they knew that I was going to be ethical. And that meant more to me than I can possibly tell you. When I would go to different people, even going to 7-Eleven, it's like, you know, we grew up with you, and, you know, we know that you really try hard to do. I mean, I don't do anything that I don't believe in 100%. And that meant a lot to me. And it's those things that if you can decide that early on in your life that you're going to be that type of person that people can count on, that will far outweigh talent. It really will. And so I believe those early days were because of that. Knowing that they were, hey, I went to Bob Hope, my first celebrity, I asked to do it. And I did a lot of USO shows and things with him. And I said, let me tell you about it. He goes, I don't need to know about it, I know you. And he was the first one that signed onto our board as a celebrity. And because he did, many others followed. And it was just, you know, it's really important to know who you are.
Yeah. But that's why we're here today, Marie. And that's why you have such a good favor in the American eye, because we don't need to know exactly what you're endorsing or what you're saying, but well, Maria's tied to this, so it's worth a listen. I think that's such a compliment to know that's how you lead.
Well, I believe that the days of a handshake meant something. I think if we could all get back to that, it would be a different world. And I'm not saying I'm special. I live a value system that my parents did. Yeah. And I believe everybody can. And that doesn't mean you won't have people that will stab you in the back and do things to you. But hopefully you learn over time you become wise, you know? But I do believe it's the simple things in life that matter the most. It really is.
Good.
And a Slurpee. Gotta have a Slurpee. That's my go-to. And I'm not kidding. When Grandma comes to town, it's like, come on, let's go to 7-Eleven, we're gonna get a Slurpee. I swear to you.
I love this.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Slurpee?
Blue raspberry.
Blue raspberry. Because it's worth the blue tongue, right?
And the kids love it. They do. Well, they'll do the red, the cherry one once in a while, but we all have the blue tongues. It's important.
Such a good grandma that you take them for the Slurpees, right?
I want them to know me as Grandma, not as Marie Osmond. I'm their grandma. And those are, hey, when I'm getting ready to leave this life, all the awards aren't going to mean anything. What's going to matter to me is who's at my bed saying I loved you. And that's my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and especially my children, you know.
Time well spent.
Yeah.
Give us more advice, something that maybe you've learned along the way that would resonate for our audience that's watching right now.
I mean, things that kind of helped me. I remember as a young girl, my mom, like I said, was hysterical. One time she walked in, I actually wrote about it in one of my books, but the story basically was she wore those muumuus that looked like accordions, and she'd pile her hair up on top. It was kind of cool back then for them, but I remember thinking, so tacky, lady. And, and I remember thinking, woman, I could so take you down. And I thought I said it to myself, but I think I actually said it out loud. And the next thing I knew, she had me pinned to the ground. And I looked at her and I went, I so respect you. And she was just tough and fun and cool. But one of the things she said to me that was powerful for me is, you have to look at yourself every day in the mirror. My job is just to get you to look in the mirror, and you had better like what you see, because you have to live with her. And I just thought, boy, isn't that the truth? It doesn't matter what all these people want you to do, or all these people want you to be, or all these people encourage you. You're the one that has to look in the mirror. One other thing that she said that I think was so brilliant. You've heard of that book, Make Your Bed? My mother's Make Your Bed was never leave the house without your lipstick on. Why is that important? Because if you give up on you, you're never going to do your job well. And if you do go into a funk, or if you feel depressed and I would rather get 1 hour less sleep and feel confident than to step into place and say, I'm so sorry, I'm just really tired today. That says way too much about your personality, that you quit. Don't ever quit on yourself. I know that, example, when I went through my second divorce, it was a rough marriage, and I had put on 50 pounds. Unfortunately, sometimes we do that when we're unhappy. And when I did that dancing show, Dancing with the Starved, I called it. But I went on Nutrisystem, and I lost. I lost 40 pounds on that show, and I had lost 10 prior. But I have a contract that I've had for 17 years now, because my mother said, never leave the house without your lipstick. Take care of yourself. And she told me, don't do what I did to my body. You're smarter than that. And I just believe for people who struggle with depression, who struggle with self-worth, I'm not saying be a Instagram makeup queen. I'm saying love yourself enough to just look like you took 5 minutes to take care of yourself. And it's making your bed. It really is.
It's making your bed.
And it also makes your employer pleased to have you represent them.
That's good. I like that lipstick, because it's like giving yourself a little kiss.
Just Brighten up.
Brighten up. And so it's not always easy to, because we're human, right? It's not always easy to take our own advice, because you've struggled. You've had battles over the years with depression. You've been very open with it, which is a blessing and a gifting that you give so many people, that you are open and authentic with everyone. So talk about maybe times that it wasn't so easy for you to love yourself and put that lipstick on, and you still have to be on camera or on a stage or giving or performing or asking for money or whatever it is that you need to do that day.
Well, I could tell you a million stories. Depression is a real thing. And if you have it, you should not be ashamed. If you need help, chemically, you should get it. Don't be so proud. Or the other thing that I would say is, if you think taking a pill is going to solve it, that's not going to happen either. You need to dig into yourself and find out what's triggering it. I have a wonderful friend who is a therapist. When I wouldn't talk to anybody, and when I was going through postpartum, there were two women that I loved. But the one that really helped me, she said that you can't chemically take away the pain. You have to dig deep. And she says, as a therapist, if I don't have them out of here in a year, then I'm not doing my job. Remember that. Therapists aren't supposed to tell you, you're okay. They're supposed to say, you need to fix this. And if you have a therapist that wants you as a long-term client, do not go to that therapist.
What's next for you, Marie? I know you said you've got a very colorful year coming up with all of your bucket lists and things you want to do.
I know, crazy, right?
Are you doing a Christmas special?
I'm doing a Christmas tour. I am limiting my touring. I want to spend more time with my grandchildren. If I don't, they won't know me. And I want to go to their football games and their golf classes and their basketball games. My little 7-year-old granddaughter's like, Grandma, can I come spend the night and you teach me how to knit? I mean, those are the things that are my gold records, my platinum albums, whatever you want to say. And so, but I do want to have that bucket list, and my children are so excited. They're like sending me all the time, let's do this, Mom, let's do this, Mom. And I have a list of things. That's my focus.
Marie, what do you want to say to 7-Eleven?
Well, first of all, thank you. I have never been more excited for a marriage. I get emotional when I think about the millions and millions of children they are going to bless. And when you hear the thing that we're almost, we're 8 billion plus, we don't have that money. That's money that's been used over the last 25 years to help what used to be 10 million children a year. It is now 12. Does that tell you the need? We can't continue to bless these lives if we don't have people like 7-Eleven. Yeah. And it's just, they're such a great organization. They're so visible. We need visibility. I believe it gives them visibility in their local markets when they can do fun things. So many fun things that I like. One place that worked for us, they took a pig and walked it up and down the aisle and said, kiss the pig or pay up. I mean, there's so many fun ideas that are coming forward, right? I love them. And they're great too, because they serve the area. They really are community designed, and that's why this is so perfect to be together, because it really is people helping people. And I know from the very top what kind of people are in 7-Eleven, and you can't get any better. They're the best. Their hearts are bigger than the great outdoors. They're successful, and they want to give back. People want to give. They just want to know that when they do it, it actually gets to the cause. And I believe that like I believe in air. You know what I mean? And so I have never been more excited. I'm responsible for bringing a lot of corporate to Children's Miracle Network, and I must say that they are top on my list, and I'm thrilled. They're going to dwarf everyone you watch.
Coming through. Marie, you know what I love about you? You feel so deeply. You feel everything, and I think that's a big part of, again, your longevity, your huge history in the entertainment industry, the reason you're able to touch so many lives, because you really care and you're so present.
I do. I love people. I don't do shows because I have to feel the applause. You know, that's just, please, so shallow. I do it because I love the people. I was the first person out when we could do it again and entertain after COVID, because people were so depressed.
Yeah.
And I might be a memory of happier times. I mean, I have like, it's hysterical. I now have like these 20 to 25-year-olds, 18, 14-year-olds that are coming to my show. And I'm like, the other day I was on stage and I looked at this front row of youngies and I went, how do you even know who I am? And they all went, well, we saw you on Nutrisystem and then we realized you could sing and we love your music. And I was like, this is so awesome. And, but I really do love people. I love what matters most. And those are the things that make me feel like life has been of value. Do you know?
Yeah.
That's what life is.
Yeah. Did they know that you were a celebrity Barbie doll? Because
No.
I do.
It's like nuts when I look back on my career. I have kind of crazy portfolio, but they sculpted Donnie after me. They did the whole me, but they only did his head and put him on Ken, so he's not legit.
Sorry, Donnie.
It's why I have more longevity than he does.
We got 3 Donnie digs in here.
No sibling stuff there.
Do you have your Barbie doll? Is it at home? Do you have one?
Oh, I have one, yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere.
No, I have a doll case. I sculpted and created dolls for 25
You
years.
created a lot of dolls.
And
yes.
so I have a case with some of my favorites in there. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something that I tell my grandkids. They think it's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. You're a delight, Marie. This is so great that we had such a nice, intimate talk where you revealed to heal and gave such great insight, shared, were vulnerable, and we are grateful for the time we got to spend with you today.
You are so sweet. You're honoring me. I don't feel I'm any different than anyone else. I don't think God cares what we do in this life. He just cares how we do it and who we love along the way. I don't think it matters that I'm a celebrity any more than you as an interviewer. It matters how we do it. People who love their jobs and they do it well, I believe that professional people appreciate that.
Marie, thank you so much for your time today, and I want you to stay tuned for more great content coming your way through our Activate Her series. And as a reminder, you can always visit our Activate Her page on My 7 Hub. There are some fantastic videos and resources available for you to check out, so make sure you log on there.